Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. Now that the cat is out of the bag, it's very clear that the promised grand 20 lakh crore package announced by the Prime Minister is a mere political jumla. It's a non-starter. If at all it is worth being called a stimulus package, it is grossly inadequate and to us it is misleading. The American investment firm called Bernstein calls it a lost opportunity. It says that this is an aimless initiative and that the numbers have merely been added up in order to make them look grand and to match the numbers of other nations. That's just the reason why the 20 lakh crore package got added up, according to Bernstein. With this announcement being over, reality now stares in our face. And what is the reality? The reality is that the Indian economy is headed into a recession. A recession means a period of low demand, decreasing demand. It means a time of business losses, business closures, job losses, increasing poverty, increasing inequality, and the longer it lasts, the more debilitating it is. Thus, a recession is what India is going to face. And why do experts say so? The reality is that because of the lockdown, the Indian economy is expected to contract by almost 45% in the quarter ended June 2020. That's an estimate of Goldman Sachs, and a contraction of the economy because of demand going down and it happening consistently are the first and most confirmed signs of a recession in the offing. The estimates at the moment are that the Indian economy is not going to record any growth in FY21 but will rather contract by anything between 5 to 7%, and that's a clear sign of depleting demand in the economy. Goldman Sachs says that India will be facing the worst ever recession that it has faced, and various other agencies, various other entities agree with this. Nomura says that India is into a recession. So does Bank of America Securities, so does Bernstein, and so do the likes of ICRA also now say that. ICRA had earlier said that the Indian economy is expected to grow by 0.8% in FY21, and now it says that it is re-looking at the figures and it is certain that they will be in the negative territory. The impact of a recession always depends on how long it will last. The longer it lasts, the more debilitating, the more damaging is the impact on the economy. Thus, we need to see how extensive is the damage to the economy because of the COVID crisis lockdown, and that how deep is the impact, and that will tell us how long the recession will last. And of course, how long a recession lasts also depends on government policies. Thus, if government initiatives and policies are not appropriate and timely, then the recession might just last longer. It presents a huge challenge to the Indian economy. It presents a huge challenge to the Indian government because even in the months leading to the lockdown, the Indian economy had been slowing down. The government finances have been proven to be precarious, and even the finances of the private sector have not been adequate enough in order to battle any economic crisis. And the worst sufferer because of this recession is going to be the MSME sector, which has proved to be the weakest link in the Indian economy at the moment. And that's because the sector has been suffering because of misplaced government policies for the past few years. And even in March, before the lockdown was imposed, the sector was already in a bad shape. Its financials were precarious. And with the lockdown coming, it has been in no position to be able to battle this crisis which has come on them. And what is the crisis? Because of almost a quarter of a closure of the MSME sector, because of that, they have been in a situation where for an entire quarter, they've had no income. But their expenses, their cash outflows have continued. In this quarter, they have been paying their salaries and wages to the extent they could. They have been meeting bank loan repayments. They have repaid interest, they have repaid EMIs, they have been meeting their fixed expenses of keeping the establishment on. Thus, it's been a quarter of no income, but only expenses and payments. And what has happened because of that? Because of that, when the MSME sector opens up after the lockdown is lifted, the entrepreneurs will face a situation where there is a highly depleted cash flow or the cash flow has vanished, such that where will they be able to now put in fresh working capital to restart their business? In a number of cases, what is being witnessed is that the inventory that was in hand at the time of closure is now not going to realize the kind of value it ought to have realized before the closure or the lockdown was imposed. Thus, their working capital would have been lost. And for MSMEs to restart their business, what they needed from the government was a fresh infusion of working capital into their businesses. That kind of a fiscal policy was needed. And they also needed a situation where their existing bank loans were restructured, the payment period was prolonged by at least 3 to 5 years, such that after the economy recovers, they would be able to repay these loans. But the stimulus package gave them none of these reliefs. No restructuring of loans across the board has been ordered by the government, and no provision has been made in order to infuse fresh working capital into the MSME sector entities on an immediate basis. What the government announced in the package was a 3 lakh crore package for MSME enterprises by way of bank loans, which would be guaranteed by the government. And the other fiscal measure that the government said was that it is creating a fund of funds of 50,000 crores in order to infuse equity into viable MSME enterprises by way of a mother and daughter series of funds. Now, these announcements do not give that immediate relief into working capital infusion, into postponement of repayment of loans that the MSME sector needed. No immediate relief comes because of these measures. Few will benefit out of these measures that the government has announced as the cure for the suffering MSME sector. And why do we say that? The first one, the 3 lakh crores loan package has been announced for existing borrowers who got bank loans up to 25 crores and turnover up to 100 crores. These are the eligible ones. There are not many who will qualify for it because an industry association says that hardly 5 to 7% of MSMEs fall in this eligible category. Thus, not many of the MSME sector entities are going to be eligible for this loan package announced by the government. And that leaves another question mark. What happens to those entities who have not been borrowers from the banking system so far, but who now need money because of this extraordinary situation that they have faced? As per the government announcement, they are not going to be eligible for borrowing under this 3 lakh crore loan package. Thus, few are going to be eligible to borrow money under this scheme. That's the first reason why not many will benefit. The second is, whatever the government may try to say or announce or push the bankers remain a picky lot, they remain a choosy lot, they remain extremely selective. At this time, they are still looking out for the AAA and the AA plus rated borrowers, and that is a vanishing tribe at a time when the economy has been suffering and recession is at the door. Thus, bankers themselves are an unwilling lot despite the government saying that they are going to guarantee the loans. Many MSME enterprises who may be eligible today are not willing borrowers under the scheme. And the reason is, when their business is gone, when they are not sure of their own cash flows, why would a prudent borrower want to borrow money and load debt which he may not be able to repay? Thus, prudent borrowers who see that their business has depleted are not willing borrowers. And that makes it a scene where not many are going to be taking money from the banks. Thus, according to us, this 3 lakh crore package and the 50,000 crore equity infusion fund is not really going to help the MSME sector as it needed to be helped. According to us, what the sector needed was almost some kind of a direct benefit transfer under which fresh working capital would have been infused into the entities on an immediate basis in order to reimburse, in order to replenish all the expenses that they have paid or met during this lockdown period. That is what was actually an apt measure, but nothing like that has been announced. And as we said, they also needed a restructuring of loans. Even that measure has not come. So what will happen on day one when the MSME entities reopen their businesses? They will be in a situation where their cash flows have been depleted. They don't know where to get the money from. For many of them, perhaps the business may not be there or it would have gone down considerably. And While this is one part of the scenario, the other would be that their EMIs, their bank loan repayments would be at their doorstep. That's just not the way to restart a business which has suffered because of a lockdown. According to us, this lack of relief to the MSME sector is only going to accentuate and aggravate the impending recession. And that's because if the sector suffers, income generation suffers, demand is going to suffer. And it is lack of demand which is the prime reason why a recession sets in. There will be a situation where the entire MSME sector and the entrepreneurs are suffering and demand is just not going to be there. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
हमारे घरों में भी बच्चे होते हैं जो हमसे प्यार दुलार की आस करते हैं।
हमारा भी जीवन साथी है जिसको हमारे ड्यूटी से घर आने का इंतजार होता है।
हमारे घर में भी एक बूढ़ी माँ है जिनके लिए आज भी हम ही आंखों के तारे हैं।
लेकिन हम हमारे घरों में नहीं हैं। आपकी सुरक्षा में कोई कसर न रहे, इसलिए हम अपने प्रियजनों से दूर हैं।
हम में से ही कुछ तो अब इतने दूर जा चुके हैं कि वो वापस अपने घरों को लौट भी नहीं पाएंगे।
हमें गर्व है कि हमारे कंधों पे मुंबई शहर के नागरिकों की सुरक्षा की जिम्मेदारी है। हमारे जज्बे और बलिदान को व्यर्थ न जाने दे। इस संकट के समय में आप घर पे रहे, सुरक्षित रहे।
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.
If you like this video, please share it, and we would love to hear your comments in the comments section down here. Also, please do like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to get minute-to-minute news updates. For more such shows and videos, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel.